Hi guys, my name's Barry and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be ranking the opening scenes or the opening kills of all the Scream movies. Now I have done this ranking before, excluding Scream 6 of course, and I didn't rewatch my video so I can't remember the order that I put them in before, and I like it that way because it doesn't influence me the way I think now, because I have rewatched the films in the lead up to Scream 6 and I think possibly things have changed. I actually like some openings better than I did before, and I think some openings I don't like as much as I did before as well. So this ranking is probably going to be different to the one previously, as well as having Scream 6 on it. And at number 6 is the opening to Scream 3. Now it's quite ironic that I wanted to see a major character in the opening scene of a Scream movie being killed off, and that's exactly what we got in Scream 3 with Cotton Weary, but it's something that it just didn't really come across the way I wanted it to, and I think maybe it's because of the setting that they were in. They were in Hollywood. It just didn't feel like the opening to a Scream movie, and obviously the full movie ended up being the same way. It ended up feeling similar to the opening of Scream 3. It felt very big budget, very Hollywood, but maybe they should have toned it down at the beginning. I didn't mind that Cotton was the opening kill, but I just felt like they could have given us something more, something that felt like closer to home than what we got in the end. So I think that the idea was good, but the execution just didn't live up to it. And then number 5 is the opening to Scream 4. Now, again, the idea for this was really good. It was quite mind-boggling at the time when I first saw it, because it was a movie we were watching within a movie within a movie. So it was very meta commentary, and I think that's what Wes Craven tried to give us. He tried to give us something that stepped further than the meta commentary that he was giving me. Again, the idea was really good, similar to Scream 3, but the execution felt a little bit too much to me. I think it felt like it went over that line that they maybe shouldn't have crossed. The rest of the movie was fine. It didn't cross the line that they did in the beginning of Scream 4, but I just felt like it was a bit of a cop-out. They were trying to give us something maybe too in your face and too on the nose. That's something that they do in the new Scream movies. They don't really know where to cut that line or to draw that line, and I think that was maybe my only major issue with Scream 4, in terms of going over that line, maybe the line you shouldn't cross, and I think that's what happened in the opening. At the end of it though, at the end of the opening, I much preferred the end of the opening scene, the opening kill, than I did at the very start. I think maybe seeing one movie within a movie would have been enough, but a movie within a movie within a movie was that step too far. And then number 4 is the opening to Scream 6. Now again, this is very different to the rest of them, and that's what I like about the Scream films, because every opening scene was very different to each other, and the opening to this one felt like more fan service than anything else. When we saw the killer pulled the mask off, we're like, okay, are we seeing the killer all the way through the movie? Do we know the killer? Are we going to see the killer's point of view? And it felt obvious that we weren't going to see that. As soon as he showed his face and it was Jason, I knew for a fact that Jason was going to die very soon in the opening scene, and that's exactly what happened. So I think because we've got an opening and then an extended opening with Jason and Greg and the killer, the opening suddenly felt drawn out. Whereas when we first saw Laura being killed and then Jason revealing himself, I thought that was a very short opening, but when they extended that opening, it felt too much and too drawn out and too obvious as soon as we saw Jason's face. So I think if they built up Laura's character a little bit more and didn't show us Jason till the end of the opening scene, maybe this would have been higher on the list, but I just felt maybe too drawn out and too much of a fan service to us. And then number 3 is the opening to Scream 2. Now this was coming off the back of Scream 1, so they had to do something different. They had to stand out, and I don't think they stood out as much, because obviously Scream 2's opening is not as good as Scream 1 in my list, but they still done something different, and they done it in a good way. They done something that it was very meta, but it didn't go over the line that Scream 4 did, because what they done was they were going to see Stab in the cinema. Stab was based on the events of what happened in Scream 1, but to us it's very meta, because we're watching a movie that's based on a movie that we just watched, which is totally mind-blowing, especially from back in 1997. So we were seeing something like this for the first time. Not only did we see the events of Scream 1 unfold for the very first time, but we were seeing something new and something developing in Scream 2. I absolutely love the opening to Scream 2. and it's something that will last in my memory because it was the first time watching something like that, and it was just mind-blowing to me. And again, they got big stars to open the movie like they did in Scream 1 with Drew Barrymore. We had Jada Pinkett and we had Omar Epps as well. So just seeing the two of them, I'm like, okay, we're getting big stars again. Are they going to die just like Drew Barrymore did? Nah, it can't be. And they did, and they died in really brutal fashion as well, especially Jada Pinkett, Maureen. So just seeing it unfold for the first time in the sequel, it was mind-blowing. And at number 2 is the opening to Scream 5, or Scream, whatever you want to call it. And I can't remember, like I said, my list before, but I think this one, I prefer this one more now than I did when I first seen it. Now, when I first saw it, I thought the opening was fantastic, and I genuinely thought Tara died at the beginning, because obviously Jenna Ortega was a semi-big actress at the time, obviously not as big as she is now, but she was big at the time, and I thought, okay, she's dead, perfect, done. But when I found out that she was the very first survivor of an opening, not only was my mind blown because I didn't expect that to happen, the cogs started running in my head thinking, why would she survive this? Has she got something to do with it? Is she one of the killers? And all the way through the movie, because we had our very first survivor, it then planted seeds in my head, and I'm sure your head as well, thinking, maybe she survived on purpose, maybe there's a reason for it. Obviously there was a reason for it, because the killers wanted Sam back into Woodsboro, and that's the only way they could do it. But you didn't know that at the times, and you were suspecting Tara to be part of it. So not only did I love the opening, it made the movie much more interesting because there was reasons behind Tara's survival. Not only that, it had been 11 years at the time since this movie came out from the previous film, and it was brutal. You know, Ghostface felt menacing. The things that he was doing to Tara, making her believe that he was part of a support group for her mum. The whole opening scene was so great, and Roger L. Jackson got more time to shine voice wise in this one than they did in any other film. And at number 1 is of course the opening to Scream 1. Now, for all the reasons that Scream is the best film on any rankings that I do, it's mainly the reason for being number 1 on this ranking as well. It's the first time I'd seen a movie like this, the first time we saw a character development between a villain and a victim, Drew Barrymore being a big star at the time, etc, etc. All the reasons that I've said before for all the rankings that I do for Scream films. But something about this one, even if you strip all that back, when you do watch it, it is genuinely terrifying. Even though you've seen it time and time again, just watching it unfold over and over again, you still fear for Casey Becker. You still think there's a chance she can get away, even though you know there's no chance, you know she dies. But it's just terrifying to see. Now, there is comedy in this film, and there is comedy in all the other Scream films as well, but when you strip it back and you watch Scream 1, this is a truly terrifying scene. The moment he says to her,
"Why do you want to know my name?"
I want to know who I'm looking at.
it just blows your mind, and it's something that even when you watch it for the first time or for a couple of years, when you watch it with someone who's never seen it before, you kind of look across to them and see what their reaction is, and it's the exact same as what my reaction was before. My mind was absolutely blown. The opening scene was perfect. Not only is it the best opening scene to a Scream movie, it's probably one of the best, I'm not saying the very best, but it's probably one of the best opening scenes to any horror movie ever. So that is my rankings for the opening scenes, guys, including Scream 6. Like I said, Scream 6 is not my favourite Scream movie, and it is on the lowest rank in my Scream franchise, but it doesn't mean I don't like the movie. But it just goes to show there are some good things about Scream 6 that I prefer over other Scream movies. But leave your ranking down below, guys. There is only 6 of them, so try and let me know all of them down below. Let me know your thoughts and your reasons behind it. And as always, thanks a lot for watching, thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.
To get you, Barbara.
Ever played Skin the Cat?
Someone's in the back! Stay